So first we're going to hit up with a little pre-roll. Ladies and gents, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Berardo Podcast. I'm your host, Tony Berardo. And this is exciting. This is going to be a quick little episode that I wanted to do. We're almost through the entire month of January, so I wanted to make sure it was a priority that I talk about. One thing that's really helped me out, not just in 2019, but overall the last few years, is getting organized, getting more goal-oriented and prepared. So if you haven't done so already, I know sometimes New Year's resolutions start in February, or maybe they end in February. But more often than not, people don't have a game plan or any goals in mind to make sure they're really having a kick-ass year. So I want to make sure I do a quick little episode and just share some knowledge and love and some of the research that I've done to make sure we're set up for a good 2019. Prior to getting to that, don't forget, we are only a week away for Fit for February. If you haven't done so already, I'll leave the link in this podcast episode, but make sure you go to my blog post where it talks about the rules, regulations, and all the cool stuff we're going to be giving away for Fit for February. I already have almost 10 people that are committed to joining up for Fit for February, so it's going to be really exciting. I keep forgetting that I'm recording, so I need to look at this video. So hey guys, we're on YouTube. I'll also leave that link as well to ensure that you check out my YouTube channel so you can see all of our cool episodes that I videotape. Most of them are going to be with the lovely wife. So don't watch YouTube because of me, watch because of her. Say hi. Yeah,
I don't know
nice.
which one to look at.
We have a lot of them now. But, so we got Fit for February coming up. It's going to be fun. We're going to do a big competition of just being healthy, not drinking for 28 days. Yes, I picked February because it has the least amount of days in a month. So that's going to be exciting. So we're going to do that. So look into that. And then, like I said, check out YouTube as well. Cool. So without further ado, let's get into today's episode.
You're just funny. It's funny, the way you tell the story and everything.
Funny how?
Come here, though. Yeah, he's crazy, see? Who are you?
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Are you ready?
Boom. What's up, guys? Hey, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. Lovely wife, Miss Berardo, what's going on?
Hola.
Thanks for tuning in to another ep as well.
Yeah,
Being here.
always. Every night
Yeah.
after 5 p.m.
Not by choice, you're just here, so I figured I'd throw a mic in your face.
Every time.
That's all right. So this should be kind of a fun episode. We're going to be talking about getting organized, getting focused, getting goal-oriented.
Ooh. Ah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
There's a few reasons why I wanted you on this episode.
Wow. I wonder what those are.
So first, before we get into that reason, I think it is important that one thing I noticed, and I did have kind of a rough start to 2019, unfortunately. I won't go into that detail. If you want to know about that, you can listen to the last episode. It's less depressing than this one. More depressing?
More depressing.
It's more depressing than this one. So,
But informative.
but pretty informative. I like to think so. At least it helped me out. And sidebar on that, just a shout out to everyone that gave me love and shot some DMs my way, because it all goes down to DM. We know that, and I appreciate all the support. I am doing much better. Things are progressing positively, I think. So we'll know in a few weeks kind of the details of that whole sitch. But thank you for that. Appreciate the love. But yeah, so I did have a rough week, kind of the first month of January, but it really made me kind of think to myself, I'm glad I had a goal set up for 2019, and before even 2019 started, I had a plan set up, and even though I kind of got put in the hospital and things got pushed back, my goals never changed, right? They just I had to reset the dates a little bit. So that's kind of what I want to do the podcast here the third week of January to make sure, give you guys a little defibrillator. I know it's tough. I know first of the year it's kind of stressful, right? You're trying to get back in the swing of things, and you don't really know where to begin, right? Like you don't know, okay, do I do this first? Do I do this? What are my priorities? What's the most important thing? Maybe I'll push this off until like March. Maybe I won't even worry about this yet. And I think it's important that you have some type of goal in mind, not just for the year, but maybe for the week, maybe for the month. However you do your day-to-day operation. For me in particular, I kind of wanted to share, what I do on a weekly basis, and hopefully that'll shed some light, to help you guys out, maybe give you some ideas. However, before we get into that, let me tell you why the wife is on this episode of the podcast. Is we've been going on 3.5 years, been together. Mm-hmm. Anniversary coming up in May, very exciting. Our wedding anniversary.
Time's going by so fast.
I know. But, before we started dating, you thought of things a little bit differently. When it comes to goals and things like that. First off, let's talk about why that was. Why do you think
I was living in chaos?
I didn't say living in chaos.
Well,
you weren't necessarily living in chaos, but
no, it was organized chaos. Like it was functional for me at the time because
right.
It was just me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've just grew up with Spanish parents, and Spanish parents they use a fucking oven to hold their pots and pans that are not necessary. Like any Spanish household that you go to, you open the oven and you have to clear it out before you can use it. They're just pack rats.
Because they keep everything in there, yeah.
They keep everything as if like the apocalypse is going to come. It's like, I'm going to need this pan. No, you're not. You have like 20 other ones. But it's always been that way. So, I mean, I always wanted to be organized. It just didn't happen. So, I mean, my friends can attest to my younger years always coming into my house. Like, my room was always like 5 tornadoes ripped through there. Like, I would sleep on half of my bed. It would be clean clothes, but they would take up the other half because I wouldn't fold it. It was just absolute chaos.
Yeah.
It worked, though.
It did work.
For me at the time. Like, my version of did you clean your room was shoving everything I could possibly fit into the closet and hustling it shut. And that was me, like, my room's clean, and then I would open the closet and everything would fall out.
Yeah.
Push it right back in.
And I think sometimes we all get in that habit, because it's always when you're really rushed, right? Like you never have plenty of time on your hands and you're messy. That's usually not the case. Usually it's, the opposite, which is you're always busy. You got things going on. You're rushing out of the house. You're trying different clothes on, just talking about the closet in particular. And then, just things kind of get piled up. And then by the time you get home, it's 5:30 and, you have dinner and then you get done and you're exhausted. You don't have time to organize. And the next thing you know, things pile up.
Yeah.
And,
story of my life.
Right. And I think it's a story of everyone's life, right?
This is why we're not allowed to have a chair in the bedroom, because it would be sky high.
Yeah, it would be full of just mess.
The only reason my vanity chair isn't sky high is because I use it on a daily basis. I have to sit on it.
Right.
And even so, there's mornings where I pick out in my head what I want to wear the next day, but then that morning I might wake up bloated and I don't feel like wearing that anymore. So then I go through like this chaotic changing, and then I have like a bunch of stuff piled up on the bed.
Been there.
On the floor.
Yeah.
And it just...
And it happens. There. Oh, so just going back to not necessarily just the closet or getting organized, but just in general, how do you feel about where things have progressed for you, just getting organized on a daily basis? Is there anything in particular that stands out that that maybe these guys can...
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because, like, at home, it would be, like, messy and I just... whatever. Mm-hmm. But, like, when I went to work, I always needed things a certain way. Like, my classroom was always really organized. I always had everything like labeled and things like that. But when I got home, it was just like you said, I was too exhausted to even deal with it. I'm like, ugh, whatever.
Yeah.
And now it's like I'm still, pretty organized at work. But now at home, I just feel like it brings me more peace to have everything organized. So like the bed now, one of my goals for 2019, as little as it is, I want to wake up and make the bed every day. So I've been making the bed. I mean,
I noticed that.
yes. So I've been making the bed in the morning. It's kind of nice to like take a shower and get into bed. And it's like not in chaos where I don't have to fix the blanket to get into it because it just becomes a mess when we're sleeping.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I've tried to make it a point to do that. I also did some research that scared the crap out of me
Uh-oh.
about like my makeup brushes. Like I went to the
Do tell.
I went to the vortex of YouTube.
Right.
And I came across this video talking about how you should store your makeup brushes away because, like, even through the air vents, the dust comes out and it collects on your brushes. So when you're, applying your makeup, you're probably putting these particles on your skin, therefore making you break out, developing bacteria. I mean, I'm
Wow.
allergic to dust as it is. So, I mean, that could cause, some kind of rash on my face. So that made me freak out. So now I'm making it a point to wash my brushes more. And I actually cleared out a drawer in my vanity to store them so that they don't collect dust. I have a jar for my, like, makeup sponges that has a lid so that the dust doesn't get on them.
So that's a real thing then.
Yeah, it's a real thing. Just like with the toothbrush. Like people leaving it out in the bathroom and it's like, hate to be gross, but poopy particles are getting on your toothbrush when you flush the toilet.
Poopy particles.
Poopy particles. Turds.
Doo-doo.
The dookie.
Dookie, cocky. Wow, that's interesting. And that makes a lot of sense, actually, now that you really think about it, but not just necessarily with brushes. I mean, just in general, right? Like,
Yeah.
I would imagine everything is...
Yeah, it collects dust.
Yeah.
I mean, I try to clean on a weekly basis. And with the air, going, I mean, lately it's been kind of cold, so we haven't really been running it, and I could tell the difference when I dust. Mm-hmm. When I dust is not as bad when we don't use the AC, but when we use the AC, dust is essentially a collection of dead skin, hair, all kinds of things just
All the good stuff.
mixed in and just settling in places.
Yeah.
And I've just, maybe, because I mean, you have a little bit of OCD. It's rubbed off on me. And I had a little bit of OCD that just needed some uncovering. But, it's one of those things where, like, when you're in a situation where it's almost like too much work to actually do it,
Yeah.
just don't do it.
Right.
Like my parents' house, like, I just can't.
Yeah, that's a lot
Like,
going
there's
on.
I just couldn't. But, like, now, it's almost like starting a clean slate because now I don't have 31 years of crap here.
Yeah.
Like, this is just my essentials,
Mm-hmm.
our essentials, and I'm able to kind of manage it.
Yeah. Yeah.
As to where my mom took over my closet, like, even when I was living there, she had half my closet. Like, she does not get rid of anything.
Yeah, she's...
Literally nothing.
Still to the day, she's...
Literally nothing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
There'll be so many dresses with their tags still on. I'm like, why do you even have this? Just sell it. Give it away. You obviously are never going to wear it.
But that's the Spanish culture, right? Like, they just like
Yeah.
to pack and hold stuff.
And, like, especially my dad, like, he's older. Mm-hmm. And that's just a generation thing. Like, they went through things that, they needed to conserve things because they were just afraid to lose their things.
Yeah.
And it was just, like,
That's nuts.
it's so crazy.
No, and I have noticed that too, like, that you are getting a little bit more organized, and I think it's not necessarily just because maybe I do have a little bit of OCD, but for me, I don't necessarily think it's OCD. I think it kind of goes back to, maybe it is OCD, but I think it goes back to more, I just like, and that's kind of why I want to do this episode, so that's a great segue, well done. is I kind of wanted to do this because there's a few key points that I wrote down because I want to make sure I remember. But there's a few key points that really helps me on a daily basis. And a lot of it has to do with getting organized, but it's bigger than that though. Like, you know, for what you said, you like to come back and now that it's organized and it just makes you feel a little bit better. Well, studies have shown that just getting organized in general, you know, and having those little wins, like you were talking about, making the bed, right? Cleaning your brushes, making sure the sink is cleaned up, like having those little things, your mind just naturally reacts to clutter in a negative way. Mm-hmm. It's like a great example is if you ever been to like a New York subway.
It's chaotic, nerve-wracking.
It's nuts, but what's weird is it's very rare that people move. It's just everyone's there and you're completely just smushed like sardines. Well, if your entire house is like that, that's how you feel inside. You might not react the same way as if you're on a subway. And, you know, just because it's a subway, it feels uncomfortable for you because it's a foreign place. Mm. So you don't really think of it like that maybe when you're at your house, but it's kind of like that. Like,
it is like that.
Yeah,
it develops chaos in your mind and you feel stressed out. And I'm a very anxious person by nature. Mm-hmm. So I could see why in my life I've been so anxious because I've always been in a chaotic environment. But like when you organize, it just kind of gives you peace of mind. I mean, I enjoy, you know, cleaning things and I'm kind of a germaphobe. So like the other day, my coworker brought a thing of peanut butter and it was like a big container of peanut butter. Mm-hmm. And she was like, oh, does anybody want peanut butter? And like a couple of girls grabbed a spoon to grab the peanut butter. Well, one girl double dipped.
Ooh.
After she had like put the spoon in there, like
she full licked it.
And then she put it back in. And immediately I thought, I need a spoon to scrape the whole top.
Oh, I would lose my mind.
Of the peanut butter. And like I saw my coworker's face be like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
But she's a nice person, so she didn't say anything. So I just pretended to like be getting peanut butter for myself, but I literally scraped off all the top layers and threw it away.
Ugh. But, oh man, that's disgusting.
I know, it was very disgusting.
That's gross.
But it's like, those are the things I think about. Like things of that nature. Mm-hmm. I think even the other day, April posted... So I'm going to go to the germaphobe a little bit just because this is what came to my mind.
I love it.
So, like, April posted a video of Nova in the subway, and he had fallen in the subway station, and he was pretending to be struggling going up the stairs, and he just was sliding his hands on the railing. And instead of laughing at the fact that he's pretending to be struggling up these stairs, all I thought was, all the germs he's collecting on this freaking railing. And I told April that, and she goes, oh,
forgot about that. Yeah.
He got hand sanitizer immediately after. I was like,
oh, but still.
I was like, why?
Yeah.
Like when we went to New York,
we wrapped around.
I was like, I would rather eat shit down these stairs than put my hand on this railing.
Yeah. And you mean fall, you don't mean physically eat shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although if I fell, I'd probably eat shit.
You would, yeah, absolutely, especially there. Yeah, it's so, that is true because being a germaphobe, and I always kind of think about that too, like if I'm not cluttered if I'm cluttered and I'm not really organized, that I always think, especially like the kitchen and
bugs.
Pantry, bugs, and, you know, you always got to think clutter attracts bullshit, right? Like I always think it attracts insects, it attracts bugs, it attracts cockroaches, and clutter is rats. You know, like New York City is clutter. There's rats. Like that's my mentality. So I always kind of think of my closet the same way and the kitchen the same way, and I think everything the same way. If it's clutter and it's messy and it's gross,
there
then
are things that could hide and lurk.
It attracts bullshit. And I think that kind of goes with your mind too.
Well, that's what I was gonna say just now. It's like,
you like that little transition there?
Yeah. So it's one of those things that like your mind is a crazy place because you associate certain things and situations with things. So, for example, cats.
Right.
If they can't go to the bathroom, like in the litter box, let's say they have like issues going number 2.
Right.
They will not go in the litter box as they associate that with painful going to the bathroom. So they won't go in the litter box. So then
Really?
that's when they shit around the house because they
Cats do?
associate. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. The psyche of a cat is, okay, I feel pain every time I go in there to go to the bathroom, so I'm not going to go in there.
Oh.
And that's the same. We all think that way
Right.
subconsciously.
Yeah.
So like you sit there and you're like, I don't want to stand out there. Like, I'm afraid of heights. I don't want to stand out there. I will not stand close to the railing because I associate that with I'm about to fucking fall.
Right.
And my legs get tingly. And
Yeah.
it's just, you associate these things.
Yeah.
Just like when you were in the hospital.
Yeah.
They told you were going to, get the tube up your nose. And you immediately were like, shit.
Yeah.
Pain,
Yeah. Yeah.
discomfort. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So it just, your mind just associates these things. So when
Yeah.
it comes to clutter, I always think, okay, if there's a pile of trash, there's bound to be roaches, there's
Mm-hmm.
maggots, there's worms, there's fruit flies.
There's
it just
everything, yeah.
attracts everything, and that's gross.
Yeah. And you got to kind of think your mind like that in terms of clutter. Like your mind is so powerful and it's so big and there's so much information going into it that you really got to look at, and that's kind of the whole point of this podcast here, is you got to kind of think of your mind as a big dumpster, and whatever you put in it is going to be is going to take up space. So the more bullshit you put in your brain, it's going to take up space and not leave stuff for the other trash. And the next thing you know, you're going to end up with that big dumpster that you see, when you're driving down the highway and you're like, how come the trash guy hasn't been here in like 6 days? Well, he has. It's just a lot of trash, right? So, and you gotta kind of clear out your mind, and you gotta get organized, and you gotta close down tabs, and you just gotta get your shit together and get organized. And I think that's one thing I feel like I put together a pretty good game plan the last 3-4 years, and you're getting a lot better too. And almost, I think, would say perfecting it is just on a daily basis. If you alleviate clutter and you get organized and you kind of have a game plan and you have the same time you get up every morning and you have the same route you go to work, and you're never going to be late. Of course, if there's an accident, things are going to happen, but you can only lose your attitude with things you can control. And in the instance of Monday through Friday, waking up and going to work every single day, you can control when you get up, when you get ready, and when you leave. You can't control what happens on the way to work, right? But you don't want to be stuck in a position where you're so fucked up and your closet's so messed up and you don't know where anything is, and then you're stuck trying to drive to work, and you're like, oh shit, did I forget this, did I forget that? And it's just, your mind is just full of bullshit.
Chaos.
Right. So the more you get organized, and that's one thing I looked up big time, which is when you're becoming organized and you're trying to get things on the right track, is not just closing the tabs of your brain, but also having a set layout and a set plan of everything you do. And that does sound very OCD. However, like for me, my closet, just going back to that because it's a really good example, is I have everything, like I have little totes. I know it's kind of weird, but I have like little totes where I'll have like just my socks in there, and then I'll just have just my jeans in another totes, in another tote, and then I'll have my tank tops in the other one. And that's a little aggressive, but the reason I do that is because that way I'm not searching through shelves trying to find a tank top, or trying, all my shirts are hung, even if it's, a workout shirt. I always hang it, and I have it color coordinated as well. And again, yes, that sounds OCD, but I don't think it is, because I just think it's being organized. Because if I want, if I got my tan shoes that I want to wear, like my dope ass tan dress shoes, and then a nice pair of like dark jeans, and I want like a blue V-neck or something, you know what I mean? I know where to find it.
Yeah.
Like there's no searching, there's no...
And the organization is different for everybody. So
Correct.
that's something that works for you. Like me, if I put all my black things in one thing, I'd be like, well, I'm looking for this particular one. Mm-hmm. So, for example, in my closet now,
Great point, yeah.
I categorize it what works for me. So I have all like my jackets in one area, my sweaters. It's not necessarily by color, but I know if I need a sweater, I'm gonna go to this section. If I need a tank top, I'm gonna go to this section. If I need a crop top, I go to this section.
Right.
If I need my workout tops, I go to this tote.
Yeah. And exactly, and it doesn't necessarily have to be colors or sections, or it doesn't necessarily even have to be organized that intensely, but I think it's important because it seems like it's not saving you a lot of time, but if you're saving 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes every morning, that's the difference between walking out of the door frustrated that you're rushing out of the door to try to get to work versus you got everything organized, you got that extra 6, 7 minutes. So now on the way to work, you're not freaking out and you're not, anxious and you're not rushing. And the next thing you know, what happens if you're anxious and rushing, right? Now, by the time you show up to work, already you're pissed off. You're starting your day off bad. And, everyone that says, hey, Brenda, what's going on? And you're like, ugh, and you're just so frustrated and so pissed off. But if you just had things organized and you had things set up in your personal life, outside of that, would make a difference.
I've gotten so much better because I tell you, one of my weaknesses that, even in job interviews when they're like, what's one of your weaknesses? It's something that I never wanted to admit, but I'm late to everything, but not to work.
Yeah, you got that down to the science.
I'm always there either 5 minutes early or I'm walking in like right on time.
Yeah.
But before it was like 5-10 minutes after
Yeah.
I was supposed to be there. And that was me like rushing out the door. And mind you, sometimes I do rush out in the morning, but
Yeah, you're
I've
rushing
gotten
everything,
a lot.
but
I've gotten a lot better. Like
it's night and day.
I'm still like kind of scurrying out, but I'm not necessarily pissed off that I'm like, oh, I gotta go, blah, 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 and literally running down the stairs because that's dangerous. But
Right. No, but it's so true though, because again, I think when we look at people and people are pissed off and they're upset and they're not having the best day in the world, a lot of it has to do with prior to seeing you. I would probably say 95% of their issues are prior to seeing you. So if you walk up to somebody today and they're having a shitty day for whatever reason, more often than not, it's not because of you. It's because of what happened 30 minutes beforehand or an hour beforehand, or it was something in the morning. Maybe they rushed out and forgot to pack their lunch. Maybe they couldn't find a certain shirt that they wanted to wear and it was dirty and it had a stain on it. Maybe they poured coffee on their shirt before they left. Maybe they didn't have their coffee. Maybe they always have their coffee in the morning, but they just didn't have time because they woke up late because they had a rough night. There's just a lot of issues, and I think if you can focus on getting more organized and getting on a set schedule, even during the workday. Let's say you work Monday through Friday. If you can work on getting a set schedule and a set plan, and you actually have a goal in mind when you wake up every single morning, and I just think overall you're going to see yourself having a productive day, number one. Number two, you're going to see everyone else be affected by that positive change and that positive attitude because you're having a productive day. That excitement and that positivity is going to rub off on other people.
well, like I've mentioned before, I'm living off Kristen Bell here because she actually had a conversation with Dax,
Yeah.
her husband, on his podcast where he's the type of person that's very hot-headed and has like anger issues when it comes to traffic. And she's more level-headed to where he's not pissed at me, or that person's not pissed at me. For all I know, he probably had the worst fight with his wife and had to rush out the door, and now he's pissed off about that. Whatever anger you have is most likely not because of the person that you're going to lash it out on.
Yeah, very true.
It's definitely something that it's your issue.
100%.
So if, for example, when I was rushing around all the time, I would be livid on the road. Like, why are you going 35 miles per hour? Hello.
Because you're
That's
rushing,
the
right?
miles per. That's the speed limit.
Yeah.
It's just me. You are going too slow for me because I'm running late. So the fact that you're going the speed limit and avoiding a ticket, and me going 20 miles per hour over.
Yeah.
That's my problem.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But then I'm sitting there, you fucking idiot, you're slow, blah, 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 only because I'm frustrated.
Yeah.
So.
Like, it's so funny that you say that, just talking about traffic, because it just made me, I don't know if anybody's seen B Movie, but, we were just watching that. So But when they're in the beginning and there's all those cars running around,
Yeah.
there's no accidents, but the cars are going, like 100 miles an
Intertwining.
hour. Yeah, and they're intertwining and they're going all these different, but they're on the same routine and the same structure, and they just have everything laid out. And again, that sounds kind of crazy and weird that it can't happen, but just imagine if every single person on the road wasn't running late to work, didn't spill coffee on their shirt,
Wasn't on their phone.
wasn't on their phone, didn't have a bad day, just if everyone was just a little bit more organized and a little bit more aware of how much being organized and having a plan every single morning and having a routine, if everyone just a little bit more conscious of that and the positive benefits of it, I just think there'd be a lot of bullshit. I think there'll be less accidents. I really do. I think there'll be less negative people. I think everyone will be a little bit more optimistic, a little bit more sticking on the path of doing what they got to do every day as opposed to worrying about everyone else. Because that's kind of what we get in the habit of doing, right? Like we always get in the habit of worrying about what this person's doing or this person's doing. Usually that happens when you hate your life. That's typically the reason why you worry about it. Like, have you ever been in like a really shitty relationship, like just you're dating a dirt bag and you're always thinking he or she is cheating on you, or something's going. Typically you're probably the person that's cheating on them. That's usually how it works. Like
Or
if,
not.
or not, vice versa. Maybe
I've
they're
been
just
in that situation.
they're a complete douchebag. But usually if you're super jealous, there's a reason for it, right? Like
Yeah. Well,
something's going on there.
since I can tap into that,
Mm.
I've been in that relationship. But again, that person was not happy with themselves.
Right.
It wasn't. I was accusing because it was happening.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
But they weren't happy with themselves.
Yeah, they weren't happy with themselves, and it's like if you're not happy with yourself, you can't be happy with anyone
Right.
ever.
No.
Like you can try all you want, but if you're not happy with yourself, then you're basically wasting everybody's time.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why, like, even before I met you, I was like, I put you on the back burner for a long time because I was like, I need to get myself together, and
Yeah.
then I can let him in.
Well, because again, even if you didn't have yourself together and we started dating, it wouldn't have worked out.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Like, you always got to fix yourself first. And that goes with any relationship you're in. Not saying if you fix yourself and, you have a shitty relationship, the relationship's going to get better because you might just be with a douchebag. But
Yeah. That person's not happy with themselves. You got yourself figured out, but then that
Right.
person still hasn't done it, and it's still
Yeah.
a shit show.
And that's the problem, right? That's what we're talking about here is, I could have my shit together, but if the person I'm dating doesn't have their shit together, that's a problem,
It brings everybody down.
right? So, including you, right? So that's why I think it's important that everyone just has to get a little bit more just aware of what, how impactful. Like I was reading this one article, it was really interesting, where it talked about not just getting organized overall, like on your daily basis, but even little things like, now using technology, right? Like we've never been in such an amazing opportunity to use technology to our benefit to get more organized, and people aren't even taking advantage of it. Like, we have, I don't want to say her name, but Alexa. Damn, she heard me. But we have her and we use her for everything. And I tell you what, it really helps. Like, yeah, she's turned on.
She's still lit up.
And there she goes. But just to like map it out my calendar, what I have to do.
Grocery list.
Grocery list, like, oh man, like you could say, add beans, yogurt, milk, coffee to the shopping list, and she'll put everything on there. And then when you go to the store, you open up the app and the app actually has the list on there. So again, those little things where, okay, now I don't have to have a drawer that has a notepad and pen. Because have you ever had that drawer with the notepad and pen, and then you go there and there's no pen, and then you're running around, and by the time you find the pen, you forget what you got to write down on the list? Yeah, that's not going to happen when you have this broad doing stuff for you. Right?
I gotta tell you, I do like the old school crossing
Of
off
course.
the list.
Yeah. Well, look at me. I still
But
use a list,
it is
right?
It's
Yeah.
very beneficial though.
You still
She's
cross it
very-
off, but like with stuff that you actually need and stuff that's important, it's super beneficial. And not just her, obviously dealing with the list and all that stuff, but even just little things like your phone. Like your phone's a great tool to, add calendars to it. And I also think that's a good opportunity for some people to get organized, because we won't talk about your phone, but even little things like having folders in your phone, to organize the apps.
Thousands of pictures.
And thousands of pictures in the albums, and now you have like I got her this for Christmas. We still haven't done it yet, but it's
an external hard drive.
It's an external hard drive. It's 1 TB, right? So it's to say the least, there's a lot of videos and photos that you could put on there. But we actually have that, and all we got to do is transfer everything to that and clear out her phone. That'll save her probably 99 cents every 2 weeks, because she, gets upgraded on the cloud, and for some reason she says yes. But little things like that, where when you have that clutter on your phone slows down. You ever been like using your phone and you want to check your Instagram, but it's half a second slower than normal, and you freak out like a mad person? That doesn't happen when you have plenty of storage on your phone. So imagine if you had zero freakouts because your service was so great and the internet was so fast and everything was so perfect. That could happen if you have less clutter. So even just organizing your apps and your phones and deleting the apps you don't use. There was this incredible article I read about talking about not just the apps, but also contacts. So like there's a rule of thumb: if you didn't talk to someone for more than 6 months, or less than 6 months, within the past 6 months, you delete them from your phone completely. It's pretty interesting. And not only that, but you have Facebook. You can always get back in contact with somebody, but just eliminating that clutter, it's not necessarily that it's taking up memory. It's just the fact of, very similar to how you have a group of friends. Let's say you have 5 really good friends, right? Well, if there's 10 other friends that you occasionally talk to, but 8 of those 10 are completely negative, and they're just bad people to hang around. They hate their jobs, they have shitty relationships, they're always passing out, getting drunk, and calling you at 2 a.m. because they're hammered and they want to talk about their ex-girlfriend or boyfriend. Those are the type of people that you probably shouldn't be spending a lot of time with if you're looking to grow into being a better human being, right? So not saying to necessarily delete those people from your phone, but to spend less time with those people. There's some great studies that show that your mind's a little bit more clear. You're a little bit more focused on a daily basis, where you're not worried about other people's problem. You're worried about your problems and fixing your issues first before you deal with anybody else's. Because, negativity is contagious, and misery loves company. So the more time you spend with negative people, the more it's going to drag you down. So just little things like that is kind of grouped together with getting organized. And, I think it's something that we all need to. I know I've been really aware of it the last few years, and it's really helped me kind of get level-headed and not be so stressed out on a daily basis.
My thing with the phone is
I know you were going to bring that up.
It's so compact,
right,
that it doesn't make me feel like clutter, because I choose what I look at. So I do have one thing that I don't think I'll ever shake off, is the fact that I keep pictures, whether it's physical ones or on my phone. I mean, I've kept every Christmas card we've received for the most part.
We have 4 fucking shoe boxes of them. It's ignorant.
But what I look through those, and it gives me joy. Yeah, once a year, and it gives me joy to go through and be like, oh, it's so cute. And even like our wedding cards and things of that nature, like it just gives me that feeling of nostalgia.
Right.
And mind you, this is not spread out throughout the house. Like, it's in a contained area where once a year I'm like, oh, look at this. Oh, look at this. And you look at the pictures, blah, blah, blah. So on the phone, it's, if I don't open it, I'm not going to see it. Therefore, it doesn't bother me.
Right.
And I barely use my phone to an extent. Like, I'll get on social media every now and then, and even that, 2019, trying to cut that shit out. But, like, I don't really post anymore. But sometimes I'm not even on social media. I'll be sitting on the couch, literally scrolling just through the pictures. And I'm like, oh, look what we did this day. Or, oh, look at this. Oh. and it gives me joy.
And I share that same excitement, joy, and love.
He
However,
deletes everything quickly.
I delete everything because why though? Because very similar to my closet or any other space that is mine, including my phone, is I have a spot for it. And my spot is out in the universe. I trust the cloud and Facebook and all that to hold my storage more than my phone. Because if you lose that phone right now, all those pictures are gone.
I'll cry.
But here's the thing.
I'll straight up cry.
If I lose my phone, I'm not worried. Because every single picture I have is in a Facebook album, or it's an Instagram album, or it's up in the cloud, and I'm going to get it back.
But it's one of those things, like where I'm at, it's like, you know, when something becomes too much that it's like...
It's overwhelming now.
Yeah, it's overwhelming now. So, like, if I go through there and I'm like, oh, I don't want to sort through this shit.
You're at the point now to where that dumpster we talked about earlier in the podcast...
it is sky high.
It's so big that even the waste management company passed by and
like-
says, no, we're not doing that today.
It's not going to
Yeah,
fit.
that's not going to happen.
But that's where I'm at.
That's where you're at.
So it's like, it's such a process. Just like Facebook. Like, I have like 600 something friends on Facebook, for example.
Big time.
I only talk to 4 people.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like the process to go through your friends list and delete everybody
Right.
is such a process that I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
Y'all are going to sit there.
Mm-hmm.
Because
But
whatever.
you know what? To that point, so that's kind of what I was alluding to earlier, which was you don't necessarily want to cut friends out, but again, have you ever been through a news feed on Facebook or Instagram, and it's those friends, you have 600 friends. That's a big news feed. That's a lot of comments, right? Let's just say hypothetically, you're not big into social media, but let's say if you're strolling, if you're scrolling,
Strolling
through the Facebook. if you're going through the whole news feed and there's 50 friends that you never talk to, but today they decided to post some, stupid political position, or they wanted to share some idiotic article or something you just didn't like for whatever reason, because there's going to be stuff like that. You end up getting caught reading that, and next thing you know, now you're soaked into that negativity. Now you're thinking about that even though you don't want to. And it's those type of things where if you cut that shit out, if you cut that negative dude out, imagine a news feed where it was only positive, because your news feed, people should know this, the algorithm from any news feed, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, Amazon, the reason why ads pop up of stuff that you talk about or stuff that you type or search, it's because it goes off your behavior, right? Mm-hmm. So the more times you click shit that is negative, the more times you're going to get negative shit on your newsfeed. So if there's only positive shit on your newsfeed, guess what? You're only going to get positive shit on your newsfeed. And that's kind of the funny thing. That's why every time Brenda scrolls her phone, she always has a military dog finding the mother, because that's
coming home.
Whenever.
Military people coming home surprising their kids, their family, their pets.
It's always a dog or a kid or
fantastic.
something. And that's because she watches those videos all the time. So the algorithm's like, I guess we're going to send her a bunch of these videos.
And then I
But-
have a good cry, and then my heart feels happy, and then I'm off on my way.
And that's all good. But, that's
It doesn't put me depressed, though. It just gives me, like,
the feels.
the feels of hope.
Right. No, it's great. They're good videos. But anyway, that's kind of my 2 cents on not just getting organized at home or in your closet, but, just getting organized in general, man. Just, getting things on a specific path and a wavelength on a daily basis so that you actually have a goal in mind every single day. And, goals are important too. I mean, obviously when it comes to being organized, you can't really get organized without having some type of goal. So this might seem overwhelming, or maybe it's out of your comfort zone, or you're not familiar with it. I would just probably challenge you to do what I did, and I think you did too, is to either write out a couple things and say, okay, so today's Monday, right? So Monday I'm going to organize my closet. Tuesday I'm going to look through my phone. Wednesday I'm going to do this. Thursday I'm going to do that. And it doesn't necessarily have to be organizing that stuff, but, like you said, to your point, even if it's just little ones, so every day this week, make the bed when I wake up in the morning. And studies show that just making that bed, like you said, just making the bed and, waking up and you look around and you start getting ready for work. Next thing you know, you got nothing to do. You're getting ready for work and everything's clean and it looks good. And, if around you is clean, then your mind's clean. If your mind's clean, you could think clear. And if you think clear, you're going to have a productive day. If you have a productive day, you're going to be positive. And it's just a snowball effect of positivity. So just getting organized and setting goals. And if you are going to set goals, I would ask you to
Make
look
them attainable.
Yeah, well, there's a good acronym, right, that I teach my guys, and it was taught to me when I first started in sales, is SMART goals. So SMART goals is just make them specific, very specific goals. Make sure they're measurable, so make sure you can track yourself. So if it's make the bed, obviously the goal is make it measurable, which means you want to be able to know that you make the bed. Obviously, right? So it's got to be attainable, right, is the next one. So it's got to be specific, measurable, attainable. So it's got to be something you can actually do. So a good goal is not to make $1 million. That's a stupid goal.
Make $1 million by the end of January.
Right.
Good luck.
Let me tell you why. Not only is it you probably are in a profession that you can make $1 million, but also less than 1% of the entire world makes $1 million. So to say that you deserve to be in that small percentage is pretty egotistical. Could it happen? Yeah, sure. But it's only going to happen if you have goals set up to make $1 million. You can't just say make $1 million. So it's got to be attainable, right? And then there's got to be some relevance to it. You got to have some type of relevance and some type of backing up to make sure it makes sense. And then it's got to be time bound. So you got to have some type of time frame. It doesn't necessarily have to be a week or a month or anything like that. But SMART, SMART goals. You could look it up. It's not something I invented. It's just a really cool tactic to set yourself goals. Whether it's a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. So, and for 2019,
Yeah.
If you want to accomplish something in the next 12 months, it doesn't necessarily have to be making the bed. It could be something bigger. I like the little macro goals because it just gets me excited every day.
Yeah.
Like today, did you have any goals today besides the bed? Anything or anything stand out? Or this week or anything like that?
Well, yeah. I made myself a goal to at least make one appointment per day.
For work?
For work. And I wanted to make sure to, by the time lunchtime came around, I made a certain amount of calls. That way, the afternoon, I would make the second half. So
Right.
that was my goal.
Nice.
And I also made a goal to make sure to go down my list and make sure that, my priorities as far as phone calls
Yeah.
were,
On point.
the important ones on top and then work my way down.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Yeah.
And again, even if you set those goals and you don't hit them, you just reset.
Yeah.
That's what's cool about making those little macro goals. And I think not being hard on yourself either, because goals they're important, but they shouldn't be the one thing that's making or breaking your day. Right? Don't get overwhelmed by it. Like for me, a big goal was, this week, just kind of get back to my normal health, and, how I was eating and everything like that. And how I had to do that was, baby steps, eating little bits here and there and kind of getting used to getting back to normal again. So, but if I just kind of jumped right into it and, did that, then I would have got discouraged because I wouldn't be able to do that physically. So even though I wanted it, but I had to kind of do baby steps.
Yeah. And it kind of goes back to where, okay, I forgot where I was going. Damn it. It kind of goes back to things that you can't be too upset if you don't actually reach one of those goals, because if something that is out of your control stops you from that, then that's out of your control. So, okay, I will just move that goal to tomorrow because today, obviously, it's not going to happen because,
Exactly.
So-and-so set this meeting or so-and-so, and then you're all day long not, I'm just saying if that's a work-related thing. So all day you're not at your desk, so obviously
Totally.
you can't make those goals that you set that you would normally do at your desk.
Yeah.
So you just pick them up and you move them to the next day.
Exactly.
And hope that nothing else interferes that day.
Yeah.
And then just keep moving them.
Yeah. And I think the one thing to that point is if you don't have them written down or on your notes on your phone, or on a sheet of paper or a notebook or something. If you don't have them written down, then if you don't reach them that day or that week or that month, you won't know to revert back to those goals. Because sometimes, again, we're talking about making goals here and getting organized, but shit happens, right? Like, you end up talking to family, you end up talking to friends, you end up going, hanging out, and partying with your buddies, and you forget about these little things called goals. So you have to have some type of maybe a board, or you have to have something to draw your attention to so you don't forget about these goals. Because if you set up a goal to lose 15 pounds in 6 months, well, when 5 months come down the road, what's reminding you that you have a month left to reach that goal? So you also have to it can't just be in your head. That's a big point, is you got to make sure that your goals are written out, you have them somewhere. That's why the calendar, that's why we're talking about technology. Calendar is fantastic. We got this broad right here that gives us reminders and stuff like that. You could set up a reminder to do everything. Like, we got her reminding us when we got to change the AC filter and, all that. You could set up, reminders saying, hey, listen, remind me in 5 months that I need to lose 10 pounds. And in 5 months, she'll send you a notification saying, don't forget, you got to lose 10 pounds in a month.
And if you have a partner, you can go ahead and share that calendar with each other. That way, if,
That's another great thing, yeah.
it gets shuffled into the mix,
Yeah.
your spouse can be like, hey, by the way, this is on the calendar, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And a little reminder.
And again, the whole
Keep
thing,
yourself accountable.
the whole thing behind this is just it's going to get your head clear. It's a form of meditation. Meditation has been proven time and time again that it's extremely important. So whether you're working out for meditation, or you're doing dishes for meditation, or you're doing yoga, or you're doing something to kind of get your mind.
If you do
of
dishes for
everything.
meditation, God bless you.
I know, you need to come over and do ours.
I literally would rather do everything else.
I know you hate dishes.
It's the worst.
But even cleaning in general, it's been proven to be very,
Oh, I like cleaning.
yeah. But you get in this state of meditation almost, where you get in the zone, especially if you're jamming to some music, or it's very similar to working out. But for some people it's sweeping, for some people it's dishes. It's whatever you're into. But I don't know. I think it's important, just to kind of wrap it up, is if you're getting organized and you're setting weekly goals or daily goals or monthly goals, you just really got to make it a point to don't just do it for yourself, but do it for your spouse, do it for your family, do it for your friends, and also do it for yourself too. But I think if you get a little bit more focused on doing it, then it's going to affect a lot of other people and a lot of other things around you. So if it's not a goal, make it a goal, give it a shot. And there's tons of research out there, and there's great things that you can read about on how to get more organized. I don't have all the answers by any means, but I could just tell you that getting more organized has really helped me kind of feel better when I wake up every morning. I know where everything is. I know where my favorite coffee mug is. I know where, I know where I keep my laptop, and I know what I mean? Like, there's just little things that don't stress me out through the course of the day. And life is very stressful. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of shit.
There's always different. It's different for everyone.
Totally.
Like you said, sometimes your organization methods might not work for another person. So you just got to find what works for you and organize it the way that it makes sense for you.
Absolutely. And there is no right or wrong, as long as sometimes it's not even getting organized. Even if, unless you're a hoarder, there's probably no right or wrong answer to this. But, you just gotta figure out what works best. And, if you're with somebody, you're sharing life with somebody, maybe work with them and do like a little team effort, like we've been able to do. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's worked out well. No doubt.
No doubt.
So, you got anything else to add?
No, just do what works for you.
Yeah.
Don't stress out. If it's something that's out of your control, then so be it. Try to relax. I mean, I know it's very, very, very a hard thing for some people. I know I find it difficult sometimes, but
Right.
It's just making it a point to make your goals something that brings you peace of mind.
That's it.
So whatever that may be,
That's it.
figure it out.
That's a good one. Yeah. Make your peace of mind. I like that. Okay, good. On that note, guys, we're gonna leave you too. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. Don't forget, I'm also gonna leave the link, not just for Fit for February, but if you're looking to get fit and you're looking to stay healthy, and maybe one of your goals is to lose weight, or to hop on the vegan bandwagon, as we have done so. But if you are, I definitely ask you, like I always do, to try out STI Fine Foods. I know a lot of you guys have sent me some pictures of you ordering some food up, so continue to send those pictures because I love seeing you guys making some homemade recipes and stuff. And I have a couple stuff up on a couple episodes up on my blog using STI Fine Foods. They're a Italian fine food company, unbelievable food. They make all their pasta from veggies, a lot of gluten-free options, and even their pasta sauce and everything is vegan friendly. And they have tons of spreads, like a pistachio cream spread that goes really good on bread. They even have prosciutto that you can make that comes pre-jarred. And they do actually everything in locally in the States. So they bring it over from Italy, they package it in Florida, and they actually ship it out to your home within 2 days. So imagine Amazon for Italian food. That's the best way to describe it. If you do want a discount to try the place out, go to their website, stifinefood.com, and then load up the cart as much food as you want. Doesn't matter what it is. Plug in the code THEBERARDO, one word, all lowercase. You're going to receive a 15% discount, and that's off the entire purchase. Obviously, more purchase or more stuff you purchase, bigger discount. For the month of January, though, this is pretty cool. I don't know if you know this, Miss Berardo, but it is your last name, so it's kind of exciting.
Mrs. Berardo.
What did I say?
You said miss.
Oh, my bad.
I ain't a miss.
I'm not used to it yet. But for the month of January alone, so you got one more fucking week. Take advantage of this, fuckers, because you're going to love it, is the Berardo Ship. So all one word, the Berardo, SHIP. You're going to get free shipping no matter where you are in the country. What? Hello. Shipping costs are pricey. Not for you, buckos. Not when you use that code, the Berardo Ship. But that is only the month of January. So, again, if you're listening to this like any time after January, you're shit out of luck.
Just think, Valentine's Day, fellas, if you want to cook.
No doubt. Load up. But again, year long, you can use the code THEBERARDO and get a good discount. But for the month of January, they are offering a massive discount for my listeners. So thank you, STI Fine Foods, for that. And again, I'm going to leave the link all in the episode on YouTube and your podcast station. So thanks again for listening, guys. And until next week, we will see you soon. Be safe, love each other, set some goals, and have some fun out there. Deuces.
Bye.